Hey guys, Pony Sparkle here again with another video for some new updated streaming settings. There's been a lot of updates to Streamlabs, there's been a lot of updates to OBS, so I want to give you guys the latest and best streaming settings and recording settings that you can have. This should get you all the way up to actually 4K at 60 FPS with this setting. This video is meant for higher end settings. Or higher end PCs, I should say, not the low grade ones. I have another video coming soon on lower end PCs and specs that can get you to a solid 1080p or 900p. I'll go over that in that video, difference at 60 FPS with lossless quality. So we're going to get started. I'm going to take you into Streamlabs OBS is what I'm going to use for the for this video. But again, if you're using OBS Studio, Stream Elements, OBS, old school OBS, all the settings are the same. So you see a lot of similarities there. So I'm going to pop open my settings here and just kind of run it down for you. The last video I did was about 6 months ago, so some things have changed in that time. A lot of it's the same. I've increased my specs on my computer, so I've upgraded my quality settings and I want to share them with you. So as always, the general tab, not really messing with anything really here. Big ones that we're going to do is going to be stream. On Slobs, this allows you essentially to just connect your account. You can do this also on Streamlabs OBS, or I'm sorry, on OBS Studio. You can connect your account. It's just really easy. You just put it in, put your information, log in, rather than going and getting your stream key. That's a different video on how to learn to stream essentially. So we're not going to go over that, but this will mainly go for either Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. Any of them will work. So let's go to our output tab. This is super important. And we'll start with the streaming tab right here. And this is what you're going to use to stream again to Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. I stream on Twitch, so my settings correlate to that. And I'll explain a little bit difference as far as bit rates because Twitch caps you out at 6,000. Other platforms like YouTube don't. On YouTube, you can actually go over 20,000 and stream up into 4K if your computer can handle it. So in the streaming settings here, not going to mess with audio tracks per se on mine. And some of my settings I can't click because I am recording obviously off the software, so it doesn't let me change it in the moment, but I'll go down through each one. So the encoder, we went over this last time. Basically hardware NVEC new. If you're using an NVIDIA GPU, that's highly what I recommend. Basically what that does is, at least on the 2 and 3 series GPUs, there's a chip that's actually on your card, and it will actually use that chip, that dedicated chip, to encode your settings and basically create your stream to output. So that's what I recommend. It's hardware NVEC new. Make sure it's not on the original NVEC, just use NVEC new. If you don't have a powerful enough GPU to handle that, you can use the other one. I forget what it's called at the moment, but that's meant to go off of your CPU. And for streamer and service encoding settings, I get a lot of questions on if I have this. Look ahead and cycle visual tuning. So these are the big three that I'm going to kind of hit pretty hard in this video because a lot of people don't know what they are, and there's a lot of controversy on if you should use them and if not. Now I'll be honest, you have to sometimes toy around with your settings to see what's going to work for you. I think in my previous video I actually had enforced service encoder settings on, but after doing a lot more research, basically what this is going to do, for example, Twitch allows you to have 6,000 bit rate at a constant bit rate. That's what your CBR is here, right, on your rate control. You can't go over that. So if you enforce streaming service encoder settings, basically what it does is just limits your stream to use the max possible, and that's it. It won't go over. But if you're going to set your rate control, which you want to do anyways 100%, just turn this off and go right to rate control, change this to CBR, put your bit rate at whatever it is that you're going to stream at. Now your bit rate's going to vary, and it's always going to depend on your internet speed as far as your download and upload speeds. You can go to speedtest.net and check that out. That's the one I highly recommend. You can Google internet speed and you can get a gazillion Googles, pops right up. There's a couple other websites, but speedtest.net is by far the most accurate one that I have personally found. I'll put a link in the description below if you've never checked that out. You can also add it, if you have Chrome, you can add it as a little setting up in your Chrome browser as an extension and just click on it. It pops right up instantly. You don't even have to go to the website. So for Twitch, 1080p is the highest output resolution that they support right now. For example, on YouTube, you can stream 1440p, 4K. I believe you can actually stream all the way up into 8K. I don't know if it's live yet. And your computer and your internet has to be kind of bonkers to support that. I'm going to put a picture somewhere on the screen right now that I'm trying to show you different variable bit rates and what they're required for your actual output resolutions. I'm also going to put a couple links in the stream or in the video below that you can click on to kind of show for each one for Facebook, one for Twitch, and one for YouTube, because you get different. You get the ability to have different bit rates. Before, when I was on Mixer, that was great because they kind of didn't have like a cap, and the streams just looked so much better. They weren't capped. I used to run at 10,000 bit rate on Mixer, and it was great. But you want to be around 6,000 if you're going to stream at 1080p on Twitch. So that's where mine's set to. Your keyframe interval, never set it really to 0. You generally want to be between 2 and 4. 4, you're going to put it on if you're going to use the look ahead option, which I'll go over that in a minute. But for 99% of streamers, you don't really need to use look ahead. You can click it off. Mine got clicked on by accident. That's why it's on. But I assure you, you want to have look ahead, off. Set your key interval to 2, and you're going to be good to go. Your preset is going to go from max quality, performance, etc., and it's going to go down. This is obviously the quality of your stream that's going out, right? You want the best. I have a 3090 Founders Edition, so I set mine to max quality. But before I had that, I had a 2070 Super, and I was at performance and quality. If you're dropping frames and you're having some issues in that realm, this is going to be the big one you want to change. Drop it down until it kind of evens out for you. When I used to stream with the performance, in my opinion, my stream looked great on mobile and on PCs and Macs, whatever it was you were watching it on. So not a huge difference, but because I have the power now to support it, I just want it, essentially. But if you have any 30 series card, you should be able to run max quality. Even if you have a 2080 Ti, you should be able to run max quality, no problem. Profile, it's set to high. And now we'll get into essentially the look ahead and cycle visual tuning. So what your look ahead is actually doing, I took notes because I just want to make sure I get it right, so people kind of understand what it is. It's gonna, again, it relates directly to your B frames, not your keyframe interval. I'm sorry, erase what I said there. But your max B frames, this option that's down here below, this is the one that correlates to look ahead. So for max B frames, you keep it generally at 2. If you're going to turn on look ahead, you want to have this at 4. Basically, the reason is it looks at the previous frame and the next frame, and it decides if it needs to render and encode that in an additional high quality frame. The number of B frames you have definitely determines how effective it is. If you have a look ahead on, you should have 4 B frames, like I said, and if you have it off, use 2. Of all the optional extras that you can use with the NVEC coding, this is definitely one that you can turn off if your GPU needs breathing space. I recommend to just have it off, period. It's never helped me at all, and I've never noticed a difference with it on or off, but it does suck up more resources on your GPU. So leave your max B frames at 2, turn look ahead off. Again, I'm recording so I can't, but turn that off. And now we'll get to cycle visual tuning. Depending who you ask, they're going to tell you that this needs to be on, this doesn't need to be on, etc., etc. I'm going to tell you right now, NVIDIA recommends it, and why they recommend it is because it helps with fast-moving games. So if you're going to play a game like Apex Legends, if you're going to play a game like Fortnite where you're constantly swinging around and building and moving at quick paces, or you're going to play Call of Duty, something where you're going to have really fast motion constantly, I'm going to tell you, you want to turn cycle visual tuning on. You will see an increase in performance, for sure. Now, if you're playing a game like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering Arena, League of Legends, something that doesn't really have high motion, nothing that's crazy fast, you can turn cycle visual tuning off to give your GPU, again, more breathing room and not using so much. of the power behind it. So if you're doing a really fast motion game, turn psychovisual tuning on. But basically having it on allows the rate distortion optimization to boost the video quality when dealing with fast motion. That's the definition essentially, and it's definitely vital for games like Apex. Before 6 months ago, when I was pretty heavy into Apex, I could never figure out why my videos looked like crap, and I could never get a smooth transition. Turning on psychovisual tuning made a world of difference. I tweaked obviously a couple other settings, but it definitely helped with fast motion games, especially if you have motion blur turned on. I don't know why anybody puts motion blur into a game. Spoiler alert, kudos, heads up to Cyberpunk 2077. I can't wait for it to come out in 6 days. But by default, they have a motion blur off. Thank you, CD Projekt Red. Finally, somebody's listening to players. There's no point to have that on, but psychovisual tuning would help. My recording settings are essentially pretty close to the same. If you go down here, the only difference is you're going to change your recording path to where you want your videos to record to. Your recording format, I use MP4 only because the programs that I use to import the video into read MP4, and it's very easy to import and export. Audio tracks would be if you have multiple tracks that you're recording from. If you're doing music or something like that, you can really tweak with this. And audio video is a whole separate video. There's so much that goes into audio. I still haven't mastered it. It's crazy. Recording, I do NVEC new, same thing, CBR, bitrate 6000 to 6500. This you can vary a little bit because you're recording, you're not streaming, so this is directly to your computer. But high quality. For a video like this, I don't need anything crazy. I'm not recording gameplay. I'm literally just recording my screen in a webcam. So super easy. And everything else I changed, keep the same. And like I said right there, I have look ahead off. Psychovisual tuning I leave on no matter what. At this point, and the GPU and max B frames is the same. Your GPU setting, all this is if you have multiple GPUs in your computer, you can select which GPU you want to use to encode your frames, or use your hardware NVEC from. I only have one GPU, so I just leave it at 0, and that's the default video device of your PC. Again, you have audio tabs up here. Replay buffer I've never messed with. I don't know what that is specifically. And then audio just goes down here to tracks. You can name which tracks you want and separate all that if you have a mixer or something of that nature. Audio, same thing here. You can actually change your device audios if you want to. My default is my speakers, and my microphone is my HyperX Quadcast. Those are the only two audio sources that I have at the moment, so that's all I need. Video, this is another super important one. Base canvas is what your actual canvas is that you're recording from. So on my main monitor, it is a 2560 by 1440. I do have two 4K monitors next to me on the left and right. However, they're all locked at 60 hertz, so that doesn't help me too much. This one is a 2560 by 1440 at 144 hertz, so I definitely prefer to play on this monitor. My output scaled resolution is what it converts to, so 1920 by 1080 is the optimized resolution that I want my streams to go out at. So when I broadcast on Twitch, people see my stream at 1920 by 1080. That's what you're going to change there. Your downscale filter, I have on Lanxos, sharpening scale 32 samples. FPS, you're going to use common FPS values, and you're going to generally be either at 30 or 60. You can go in between there. I don't know really why you would. There's no point. 30 to 60 is where you want to be at. The sweet spot for me is 60. It's very smooth, and it looks great for the viewer on my stream. I don't really like to, I don't really like to have it lower than that, and I don't have any need to because I have a higher end PC. I'll put my PC specs below as well, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The only thing really that's kind of down on my PC is my CPU. It's a 3700X, which a lot of people will be like, wow, that's not that bad. It is really not. I do want a 5 series, but unfortunately they're sold out everywhere, and I don't want to pay scalper prices and pay thousands of dollars for a CPU that's only worth $600 or $700. So we'll see in the future. I do plan on giving the new Threadrippers, but that's a whole nother video and a whole nother time. Hotkeys are essentially, if you have a Stream Deck, your hotkeys are going to be what you can do to set up if you want to start streaming, stop streaming. You have different keybinds. It's basically like making macros in an MMO. You can set those up here. I use a Stream Deck, so I don't need to set up any hotkeys. The only thing I warn people on hotkeys, be careful on what you're playing and what your hotkeys are set to. Every game uses different controls on the keyboard, and when you do that, For example, I used to have the backspace button, and when I used to hit backspace or I used to hit my slash button in some games, it would affect what I'm actually doing in the game to start or select a different scene, and then I wouldn't pay attention and I was all messed up. So just be cautious of that when you're setting up hotkeys. In advanced, I'll just give you some quick rundowns. I'm not going to explain it, but I'm going to tell you what I recommend. In your process priority, what this does is it puts your computer, what are the priorities to run first? Kind of like administration mode when you open up something in admin mode. I put process priority above normal. And basically what that does is it puts it higher on the list to make sure that my streaming software, OBS Studio or Streamlabs or whatever it is I'm using is kind of at the top of the list, and my resources are being dedicated to that. Because I do use a lot of CPU usage when I output, and I'll go over that for an amazing fix that will probably fix anybody's stutter issues or streaming issues that I discovered low-key that NVIDIA puts in their settings by default, which is absolutely terrible, but I'll go over that in a second. Color format, leave it at NV12. YUV color space, put at 709. Color range, put at full. Don't turn on Force GPU as your render device, and leave everything else the same. But these settings right here, put it on that. Trust me. And that's kind of it. I'm not going to go over the rest of this kind of stuff here. Between scene collections, this is just importing and exporting your overlays. If you wanted to change them, import them, come up with new ones that you buy online or whatever it is that you do. Notifications are just going to show notifications, enable, etc. I have troubleshoot notifications because when I run my stream, I have on the bottom of my streaming software, it shows what my FPS is, drop frames, encoding drop frames, etc. like that. If I have lag frames, anything like that, you can turn all that on here. And then you just have appearance. That's if you want to change the theme of your actual streaming software. Remote control I don't use, but that basically pops up and uses Streamlabs OBS from your phone. Virtual webcam, I don't know what this is. It's new. I've never used it. I have a webcam, so I don't know why I would need a virtual one. And then game overlay, I don't ever turn on in-game overlays unless it's built into the game itself. I don't like to use third-party. I don't like to use NVIDIA's. For me personally, I feel like it bogs my game downs and lowers my FPS. So if you have those in, I would tell you to disable them. Another thing that I would tell you to do, that's it as far as the primary settings in the actual streaming software. If you go down to your computer here and you tape game mode, I would recommend highly that you turn game mode off. When game mode is on, Windows optimizes your PC for play. Maybe so, but by turning this off, I've gotten definitely a performance boost in all of my games and streaming. So turn that off. That's another big one. And then here's the big secret that NVIDIA wants you to not know, but I kind of know. I was recently trying to stream Assassin's Creed Valhalla between YouTube and Twitch. Super beautiful game, playing it at ultra settings, everything, right? Trying to stream it the best I could, play it. I have the power. I want to play the game at what it is and what it's worth. But I was constantly dropping frames, constantly lagging. I didn't know why. I shouldn't say I'm dropping frames because that more correlates to your internet, and my internet was fine. But I was having encoding errors basically, and I was like, there's no way. I have a 3090. Why is my GPU not able to handle this? And I would notice a definite performance drop from streaming to non. When I wasn't streaming, it ran beautiful. I had no issues until I took my computer apart and realized that my graphics card was so hot I couldn't touch it. For probably 15 minutes before it cooled down. It was incredibly hot. So I did tons of troubleshooting. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Checked my power supply, unplugged it, and changed the PCI port that it was in, etc., etc. I went through days and days and days. You can ask my friends. I literally went through a week's worth of troubleshooting to finally figure out it was simply one click to change in my NVIDIA settings, and it fixed everything. So when I used to pull up my task manager, and you can check this on your own, when you're running a game, your GPU is running at 100%. The problem with that is my stream is trying to use my GPU as well, but it has no resources to do it. So my GPU is burning through power, right? It's at 100% usage, and it's crushing my performance. So this is what I discovered through some forums, through some questions, everything like that. right click on your desktop and go to your NVIDIA control panel. Now this is for NVIDIA cards only. I don't know about AMD. I have not used an AMD card in probably 16 years or more, so please don't ask me on that. I don't know, and I don't know the new architecture for the new cards or how that works or any of that kind of stuff yet. I haven't got my hands on one, so I don't know. Right click this, get into your NVIDIA control panel. Next, what you want to do is go to Manage 3D Settings. Right here in the Global Settings tab, you want to scroll down until you see Power Management Mode. Power Management Mode by default is going to be on Prefer Maximum Performance. Change this setting to Adaptive, and I promise you, save the setting, restart your computer, all of your problems will go away. All it took was my Power Management Mode to get set to Adaptive. When I did that, now when I stream, my GPU at max peak performance is less than 10% usage. My games look amazing, my streams look amazing, and everything runs super, 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 super smooth. I don't know why NVIDIA puts that on by default. I don't know if it's a bug in the software that's causing that, but it insanely fixed all my performance. So I highly recommend changing that, going through the settings that I told you in your software, again, OBS Studio or Streamlabs, or Stream Elements OBS. It's literally OBS Studio with some Stream Elements put into it. Turn those on. Turn on Psychovisual Tuning if you're going to be playing fast motion games, and your stream should be rocking. The settings that I've showed you, I was able to stream all the way up to 4K on YouTube with no problems, no drop frames, no encoding errors anymore, no nothing. So I know these settings are good all the way for 4K 60 FPS, and probably beyond. I just don't have an 8K screen to test that on, unfortunately, at the moment, maybe in the future, so I can't test that. And I don't think YouTube supports 8K streaming yet. It's on their bit rates, but I don't know if they actually do. I've never seen somebody stream that. But a lot of streamers I do see on YouTube are streaming in at least 1440p or 2K, which is pretty awesome because it's a much, much better resolution than 1080p. If you're still on 1080p, I promise you go to 1440p or 4K. That's starting to become the sweet spot now with the next-gen GPUs. You'll never want to go back. I promise you. But that's it, guys. That's it in a nutshell. That's the updated video going into 2021. If I discover anything new, I'll definitely update the video. I'll put in marks, or I'll just make a whole new video in general. I am going to make a new video in the future for lower end PCs to get you guys up and running at 1080p 60 FPS. But for you guys that have more of the higher end mid-range, the higher mid tiers and the high tiers period, these are the settings you're going to want that are going to increase your performance and make your stream just look beautiful. I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Remember, if you like the video and you want to see more, the holidays are over. I do work in retail, so I'll definitely be more on the YouTube front now for sure. That's my goal going into 2021, is to really boost up my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel as well. I'm trying to stream 3 to 5 days a week. It just depends, so my schedule will be listed. Generally right now it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard, but the links to all that will be below. And again, if you like it, like the video, subscribe, click that bell to get the notifications, and thank you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.